So forgiveness is like the antidote to like guilt and shame. And this is something I can kind of like speak on firsthand. Like me as an individual, guilt is probably like the worst thing that I ever like feel. Like it's been times I felt shame, but like most times often than not, I kind of avoid, putting myself in predicaments where shame is like something that pops up. But guilt, like I guess me having to make many decisions and having to be like forced to make decisions I don't want to make, and just me at the same time, you know, I'm always worrying about other people and how other people may, react or, experience a certain type of decision. And that could be the leadership in me, or that could just be the bitch in me that's like always overly consumed with the outside world and how people perceive me and that. But it always started from there, like that guilt. And let's say, for example, like when I was in school, like I was so scared to like make jokes in school because, you know, I guess let's say at the expense of somebody else, or even at the at the expense of like my teacher being frustrated, and I would feel guilty about disrupting the class because let's be honest, I'm here to to learn. I'm not here to be acting the ass and being a joking person at school, and that kind of warped how I even acted around my peers at school. Like I was just a shy kid, even though I had some funny qualities about me. I was a goofy person. People always seen me as like the quiet, nervous kid that was like kind of scared. I already thought myself as lame, so that's another, sense of guilt that I felt. But as I got older, and that's kind of like the first monumental thing that I kind of started to feel guilt for. And then, as a teenager, that's the thing about kids and just life. Like you realize how much kids really put on their shoulders, especially when they're young and they don't really know no better, right? And it's crazy how unconscious it is. Like, if I can be more transparent, like when you were a kid, when you're younger, you don't really know, like, the nature of like your parents' relationship. So when you just living your life and, you're not seeing them around and around each other, you start to think like, damn, like as a kid, you start to wonder like, damn, did you do something wrong? And I guess that's another element of where, guilt started to really like manifest inside of me. Like, damn, you feel like it's your responsibility to bring somebody back. You feel like it's your responsibility to, I guess, mend relationships. And when in actuality, it's not your responsibility, right? People try to tell you that it's your responsibility and put things on you because they're too lazy, and really they can't come face to face with themselves enough. They don't have enough courage to just be honest. And that's something I experienced too, like how people, they try to make you feel bad for not reaching out, when in actuality, both you can reach out, but more times often than not, let's say in a parental type of situation, like let's say if I had kids, right? I'm not, and let's say I'm a deadbeat. If I had kids, I'm not expecting my kids to reach out to me. I'm not. And I wouldn't even, let's say when I have a conversation with them, I'm not going to even expect them to even want to reach out to me, especially if I'm a deadbeat. So more times often than not, the more legwork going to have to come from the person that's the deadbeat, if they want to even cultivate something with with their child or anybody that's, that they neglect. But, and that's kind of loosely how my life was. Like, when you're young and you being antagonized like that, not saying it was like a major, I'm being antagonized like in like a major way, but it's like small things. That's the thing. The small things are always the major things. Like, it start to bubble up and it start to become a major problem. But that's kind of how it was like throughout my life. It's like, now, why don't you call me? It's like that type of thinking and that type of just behavior towards me caused me to start to hold on to guilt, for things being held against me that I didn't know. And that's kind of why I'm so open and I'm so compassionate. I understand when people, when they say that sometimes they just can't do something. I'm never the type of person to make them feel bad about not doing something. Like, because I get it. I give them the grace enough to be like, look, I understand. Like, whenever you can, do it. But like I said, but if you can't do it, just let me know. Like, I don't put, harsh judgments on people, or nor do I don't kind of, I don't ever put it up or leave it up to fate with somebody to do something. Like I said, if I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it. And like I said, if I'm not, I'm not. Like, but I would never try to make somebody feel guilty about doing that. So it's been a lot of situations in my life where, I've allowed, people to put, their guilt on me, and it's not that, they do it constantly. It's just that, The only way people can react, right? Do that mean it's acceptable behavior? Hell no, right? But you know, that's just the fact of reality. And if I'm being honest, I'm a man, bro. Like, there's no bullshit. Like, it's so much shit that I'll be having to understand, to like, and have to talk to myself about, just so I can rationalize it and just get it in my head and get it to a point where I can accept it and not having like no emotional reaction about it. Because like, take me being a leader, it's gonna come a certain point in time where I just have to, you know, I'm gonna be giving shit I can't, you know, that I gotta learn how to turn around, like, and I have to literally transmute it from bad to good. Like, I've been given so many fucked up situations in my life where there's me working a job that I just have to make it work, you know. But you know, that's kind of how that process is, and it kind of start with just forgiving yourself, you know, being able to give yourself that grace and that space to, you know, be compassionate towards yourself, right? Because let's be honest, more times often not, we just don't know no better. That's why we do certain things. That's why we, you know, we make certain decisions. And, you know, after we make those certain decisions, that's when that guilt and that shame come up. And the thing about it is, with life, is there's no guide. It's no rule book. It's no guidebook. It's not. And if you don't have like a solid support system, if you don't have a father, if you don't have a mother, if you don't have people that really fuck with you for you and really there for you, they're not gonna show you the right way. And you can't feel bad about that. You gotta learn to really just be like, okay, well, I wasn't taught that, and you gotta forgive yourself for making that mistake. And that's kind of the way that you rewire yourself and get rid of these negative beliefs that you hold against yourself, because, you know, you just didn't know no better. And there's no reason to beat yourself over the head and make yourself feel worse because you just didn't know. And I feel like that's what a lot of people do. Like, and I guess that's kind of why, like, I see addiction in people, and it's scary, because like, some people be like, you can tell these people is like, they suffering, and they live in the same cycle over and over again. And even me, I ain't gonna lie, I kind of been like allowing myself to fall into this addiction. And that's funny saying allowing, but like no real shit. Like, I just been noticing, like, people really be like addicted, like, to avoid like how they really feel. Like, they do that to like try to drown out like how they really feel, men and women. And it's like, this shit is sad. Like, it's heartbreaking. It breaks my heart, because even like in the midst of me doing it, I'm like, damn, like, even though I'm still my conscious self, I'm like, damn, like, I'm really just, you know, drowning myself out and just kind of allowing myself to be distracted from what I really need to be doing. And you just gotta realize, like, now, like, you gotta learn to forgive. So you gotta give yourself the permission to be like, damn, like, you know, it's okay. You know, like I said, things happen the way it did, and you can't do nothing about it, right? But you can learn from it, you can move forward, and you can get rid of that energy and not allow that energy to keep you and hold you back from, you know, a brighter future that you may want to experience. You gotta really allow yourself to, you gotta really forgive yourself. And when I say this, I mean really. Like, and that's the thing, another thing that I learned is that, like, this type of stuff is corny. Like, it's corny in the sense of, like, you know, that you actually got to tell yourself you forgive yourself. But the thing about this corny shit is that the corny shit works. The corny shit works every single time. Like, and if you're not open-minded enough to accept that type of stuff in, like I said, you're going to really remain the same person like your whole life. You're not going to even make any type of progress forward, because, you know, you're not willing to look like a fool. You're not willing to look, you know, kind of silly. You're not willing to look corny, like, to yourself, even when nobody around. Like, it's not even like people got to be around you to do it. It's just, you got to be able to tell yourself this in the mirror. You got to look yourself in your own eyes and be like, damn, like, I'm really lame as hell. Like, I'm really corny. Like, I really forgive you for all the past mistakes that you've done. And if you're not willing to do that, like I said, you're not willing to receive any of that abundance that you're really looking for. You're not really ready to receive any of that good, you know, karma that you are hoping to create, or good dharma you hoping to, you know, receive back. And, you know, all it takes is that, really. So if y'all like the video, like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see y'all later. Thank you.